Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. She's like 7 months.
Wow, all right. Buddy, how's it going? Likewise. How's everything?
Excellent.
Yeah? Yeah, you got your squeeze here?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. You want to grab a squeeze too?
If you don't mind.
We should probably get her to know her a little better.
Maybe I should stop.
Of young people as you've spoken to them about the Shoah. I deeply admire how much you've sacrificed the pain of remembrance in order to carry out this mission of awakening the next generation, both Jewish and non-Jewish, to the history of the Shoah. When I first met you, about 5 years ago, I was preparing to take a dozen Wagner College students to Krakow, Berlin, trained to Warsaw, Krakow, and Auschwitz. And who better to speak to them about Krakow than someone who had lived there? How could you say no? How much my students gained when you spoke to them about this city where you were born, a vibrant center of Jewish life for decades, for centuries. Many young people, and many of you may know Krakow from the Steven Spielberg film, Schindler's List. Few realize that it's an hour away from Auschwitz, that it was the epicenter of the Nazi headquarters when they flew their flag over the Wawel Castle. You spoke about the places of your youth, and when my students and I were there, we felt we were walking in your footsteps. In Kazimierz, where you attended synagogue with your grandfather, Moshe Yonah Steele, and where your mother, Susanna, welcomed the first German Jewish refugees in 1938 after Kristallnacht. We also remembered your admiration for your father, Simon, his bravery and your own courage in risking flight to Hungary. How critical this first talk was and all your involvement in launching of the Wagner College Holocaust Center, the first Holocaust Center on Staten Island, a borough of over 400,000 people, the only one in New York and practically the only county in New York that didn't have a Holocaust Center. It was something we needed, and your help was invaluable. And then you came back over and again to see my students writing papers, research papers. And again this semester I had 2 students who wrote research papers about your life, about Krakow, using it as an entry point for understanding what it was like for children in the Krakow ghetto and during the Action. One of the most important lessons of the Holocaust was the one you shared with students at Port Richmond High School. To quote, you said, "The worst aspect of Nazi persecution was the fear." Many students of all faiths connected this to how you overcame the tragedy of prejudice, hate, war, and genocide in your youth, and felt a new commitment to learn about the Holocaust after seeing you speak. As Elie Wiesel has said, whoever hears an eyewitness becomes an eyewitness. At PS 19, to their 5th graders, you reminded them that the war in 1939 had ended your hopes to complete elementary school, and how lucky they were, how they should be grateful for the chances and opportunities that they had. Most precious to you have been the talks to yeshiva students at the Jewish Foundation School in Staten Island, several years ago, and then again this year for Kristallnacht, when they came to Wagner, and at Ben Parat Yosef Yeshiva in New Jersey. You enjoyed remembering your youth in the Cheder, learning Hebraic texts. To these young people and girls, you said, "You are our future, the future of the Jewish people. Hitler did not win because we have you." I'm quoting you. The friendships and support that you and Sidel have towards so many Wagner College programs and projects has yielded amazing results. We have connected Holocaust survivors like yourself with over 3,000 students in our borough and in the tri-state region in just 5 years, and with many more to come. Your family story and the memory of the too many murdered by the Nazis will live on in the videos, created both by Wagner College students like Cameron Hafner, and in the stunning and inspiring video that we're all about to watch by Staten Island Advanced Multimedia Specialist Shira Stoll. It also lives on in digital form, in blogs, in essays and reflections, in artwork by countless youth from 4th grade to college. And you can all Google Arthur's name and you can find the way that he has impacted all these different students. In addition, you have spurred us on to a new appreciation of the Yiddish language, music, and dance, now mandatory to be included at our annual Rosh Hashanah Yiddish celebration for the 1st to 4th generation at the Wagner College Holocaust Center. More and more in my teaching, thanks to Arthur and some other second-generation groups that I've been working with, Yiddish has become an integral part of my Holocaust class, so that students learn not just what happened and what was lost, but why it's important to treasure what came before. It's an unexpected and wonderful way to appreciate Jewish culture and its dynamism. I look forward to many more years of working together with you in Sidel. It's a pleasure to meet your wonderful family and friends. Have a very happy 90th birthday. And now I just want to thank also everybody here who contributed as their gift to Arthur, to the Holocaust Center, to ensure that this programming that Arthur and I began 5 years ago, that has reached into public schools as well as yeshivas, Catholic schools, and even one Islamic school, to people who really, some have never heard. Shira and I just did a workshop on Thursday with 125 Staten Island students from every single middle and high school on Staten Island. Part of the momentum that Board of Ed has gotten interested in because of the video that you're about to watch and the video series that Shira has created.
Speech at the Wagner College Holocaust Center's Rosh Hashanah celebration in 2017. He continues, "Now to see all of these people here, the students, the youngsters, thinking of us and remembering what happened, thank you to you all." I remember this speech vividly, not only because I recorded it for the video I was working on, but because it's the first time I met Arthur. I was captivated by how emotional he was to see young people interested in the Holocaust. I knew I had to ask him to be a part of the Holocaust Survivor series. When Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, Arthur was in the 4th grade, and his family moved to the Pokorze ghetto in Krakow, Poland, where Arthur was bar mitzvahed. Conditions in the ghetto worsened, and his family acquired Roman Catholic papers. They moved to Miskolc, Hungary, where they lived as non-Jews, befriended their neighbors who were Nazis, and survived the American bombing in 1944. You cannot imagine what it looked like or felt like. We lived in a war zone, Arthur said. Arthur was the first survivor I interviewed for this project. When we sat down and started talking in September of last year, the memories filled his mind, and he told the story as if it happened yesterday. The interview was 2 hours long, and we spent an additional hour walking through his house, looking at photos of his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. During my second visit with Arthur on April 30th, he showed me copies of the Roman Catholic papers he acquired and photos from the 1930s and 1940s. After hours of talking and looking through the pictures, I noticed that the dinner table was set for 3. He and his wife, Sidel, insisted that I had to stay for dinner because she already cooked extra food for me. Since the dinner, we've grown to be friends who call each other almost every week just to check in. I really want to share this video because Arthur has an incredible story, and I couldn't think of a better way to honor his 90th birthday. So, let me show the video.
Thank you, Shiva. I'm a very lucky guy for many reasons. I never expected this. I was flabbergasted when I knew something's going to happen, but not like this. To see all of you here together, unbelievable. This alone, blowing me away. I don't know why, after so many of my family disappeared, and I was picked to survive. I can't believe it. Seeing you all here, my kids, my family, even second, third, fourth cousins over here. I can't imagine. How long did you work on?
6 months.
Thank you.
My pleasure. To the best husband ever.
After the war ended, I said this many times, people that I meet, especially when I go to weddings to my cousins, and I keep telling them, they didn't know the parents, the great parents. I remember them. I grew up among them. After the war ended, I went with my father. It took us 3 weeks to get back to Krakow from Budapest. Searching for family, hoping to find someone. After searching for a long time, 2 of our cousins finally came back to Krakow. They were Chaim and Yuchi Spielman. They were the sole survivors from a family of 300 people, close relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins. And the eine horror, I go to weddings now, I don't miss it. To see all the followers, the children and grandchildren of those cousins, it's a pleasure to look. It's the Kumme in a Sveine, which is, you want to translate?
Revenge on an enemy.
I can't hear that.
Revenge.
Revenge, okay. And we can celebrate Simchas, and it's a whole different story. I have my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and my cousins' children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. It's an awakening to me. Till about a few years ago, I never put much thought of talking about it. Luckily, somebody met me and calmed me into addressing children in schools. Thank you, Lord. And I had a great feeling and satisfaction that kids now, there's also organizations who delve into the Holocaust now. There's a group called 3G New York, which is third generation survivors. They teach others to talk about the Holocaust. Unfortunately, you know how old I am now, okay? We're not going to be here forever. And somebody has to tell our stories, because it cannot be forgotten. It wasn't a skirmish. It was 6 million Jewish souls that were destroyed. There was family. Thank God we're here, and we can talk about it. I appreciate you all coming here. I don't know how you got here. Let's hope everybody has a long life, good health, and we meet up someday.
I just want to thank everybody for being here. It's really such a beautiful, beautiful celebration. What a wonderful day, and a beautiful celebration in your honor. And I'm really wondering if you didn't really know what was going on. I'm not sure, but I'm going to find out later. But knowing Mom, she was not going to let an opportunity as special as this to go by without making a huge celebration, because that's what she does, and especially if it's for you. What a happy and beautiful simcha to be surrounded by so many people, some friends, family, who love you so very much. You have touched so many people's lives in so many beautiful ways. Your kindness, generosity, and huge, huge heart, always being there for everyone, me and my entire family. It's truly who you are. You have achieved so much in your life, and we are extremely proud of you and love you very, very much. I'm proud to be part of your family. We want to wish you a huge mazel tov and a very special birthday. And may you only have more nachas from your family, only the best of health. And may you and Mom continue to enjoy the beautiful life that you shared together for many, many, many more years. Mazel tov.
Hi, Grandpa. I think everyone else's words really sums up how much love there is for you in this room. And on behalf of myself and my sisters and every other member of your family and friends that are here today, I just want to say how much we really love you and how happy we are to be able to celebrate such a great occasion with you today. And we can't wait to celebrate many, many more with you in the near future. And we love you and just want to wish you a really, really happy birthday. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. If Ben is around, not Ben, the family, Ben, the caterer, if he hears me. Okay, it's one way of getting attention. Thank you guys. I guess you gotta cut the first piece, right?
What?